To make the stitches box, you're going to want to do some pre-cutting, and so I've already done the cutting on my chipboard and the construction strips. So let me give you the measurements of those so that you can get prepared. You're going to need 3 pieces of chipboard that measure 6 by 12, and I tried to pick easy sizes so you wouldn't have to do as much cutting. So 3 of those at 6 by 12. You're going to need 2 at, that's messy, but sorry, 2 at 6 by 6. That'll be the front and back of the box, so from here and here. And for the dividers, you're going to need 5 at 5 3/4 by 6. So you're going to need 6 high and 5 3/4 across. Okay, and those are the dividers. Now, construction strips, for those of you who aren't familiar, it is a binding strip to keep the board together. And so I just made about 10 to 12 of them. I don't know if I'll need more or less, but I cut them at 1.5 by 12. And then I scored at 3/4, and then I just fold them in half and burnish them. Okay, so you'll need about 10 to 12. They are 1.5 by 12. Score at 3/4, and then burnish them on that score line. Okay, so I have some already made. So let's get started with putting our box together. Let me. I did put my camera up a little bit higher. I had a suggestion that maybe it was a little bit too low, so hopefully this works better for everybody. Let's start with one of the 6 by 12s, and to start we're going to apply our construction strips to the 4 sides. So I don't do a lot of measuring. I just kind of look at it and eyeball it and see if I need to do any trimming. And on this one, even though this is 12 inches and the construction strip is 12 inches, I think I need to trim, maybe not. I'm going to, just a tiny, tiny hair off the edge. And I just mean tiny. Okay, so about 1/8 of an inch is what I took off. So that'll just lay better on the side here. So you're going to adhere this, and you're going to adhere it so that it can open to the top. So if this is my box, the opening where I scored it, the opening is to the inside. Okay. Now I am going to taper or miter the corners, and when you miter the corners, it is better to not go from the very corner in. You want to leave a little bit, not go quite to the corner, so that it covers your chipboard nice and neat. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I cut this at an angle, but you'll see that I did not go to the very corner. I think you can see that. It's more squared off. So let me do another one. Same thing. I tapered it, but yet I left a little bit of a squared off edge. So then what you do is you're going to apply that to the very edge of your chipboard. So you want to butt it up to the very end, like so. And I am going to use the art glitter glue, which looks like this. It has a fine tip that you can purchase. Well, if you get it from Country Craft Creations, the tip will come with it. And I want to make sure that it's not clogged, so this pin goes inside. And we're just going to put there's a bad shadow. I always say that, but I don't know how to get rid of it because I need the lighting. So let's just put some glue here on our construction strip. And to me, you just want to make sure you get the edges real good so that it stays nice. Okay, so that's about how much glue I have on mine. And I'm just going to lay that down to the very edge of the chipboard. I'm going to kind of feel with my hands to make sure it's at the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up and just burnish it real well to make sure that it's adhering nice. Okay. Let's do that to the other side. I have a little excess glue on the edge here. Let's do that to the other side also. So this construction strip again was 1 3/4 by 12. I scored, not 1 3/4, I'm sorry, 1.5 by 12, and I scored it 3/4. I'm going to just go ahead and see if it lays down nice and from edge to edge. Again, I'm just going to cut off a tiny, tiny bit. And to me that fits better. I'm going to taper my corners, not all the way to the corner, leaving that little squared off top. Okay, little squared off, not all the way to the edge. Let's put our adhesive on, and we're going to attach that to the 12-inch side of the chipboard. Trying to get the edges. Okay. And I'm going to use my fingers to feel the edge of the chipboard to make sure my paper is right up against that. Go ahead and open it up and burnish it real well. Make sure it's staying nice and flat. Okay, so we're going to turn our chipboard the other direction. And now we need a piece that is for each of the ends. So I'm going to take one of my 12-inch strips. I'm going to trim it because we're going to place it right here. And again, I am not going to necessarily measure. I'm going to eyeball. And I think I can do that just fine. Okay, so I'm assuming this is close to 6 inches. Let's see. Yep, it is just a hair short, maybe 1/8 of an inch shorter. Okay, let's go ahead and miter the corners. Not all the way to the corner, that's a no-no. And the reason for that is just so it covers the chipboard and you don't see the chipboard through there. Okay, let's make sure it fits before we put our glue on. Perfect. And I'm putting my adhesive, which is the art glitter glue, along the edges, a little bit in the center. And as I lay it down in between the two that are already there, I'm going to make sure it goes to the very edge of the chipboard. So I'll just, like I said, use my hand as a guide to feel that it's at the edge. I'll go ahead and burnish that inside. And we'll do the other side, the other end the same way. So I still have this piece left. I'm going to have to do some trimming, I'm sure. Yep. Let's see if that fits. Yes, it does. And time to miter. Okay. Now I feel like you don't see as well with this camera up higher, so if that's an issue, please leave me a comment in the comments below so I know if I should need to adjust my camera lower again, but I thought I'd give it a try. So I have it, my concoction for this camera is crazy. I have it attached to an old OT light, a floor light that I don't use anymore, and I have like one of those, what do they call it, a snake clasp, so it's flexible and it's holding onto my camera. And then I have the floor lamp on top of a crate to make it higher. Yeah, it's kind of, it does the job, let's just say that. Not the neatest setup, but it's working. Okay, again, I'm feeling that it's at the edge all the way, and I'm pressing down. Okay. Now, normally at this stage you would attach the sides, but for this box we're going to go ahead and put our decorative paper inside first. I guess we wouldn't have to. I think I'm going to, just because I think it's going to be easier. I think it's going to be easier because we're going to put some little spacer flat back gems on here for our dividers so that they don't wiggle back and forth. And I think it's just going to be easier to do that without the sides already on. So let's go ahead and get a piece of decorative paper cut. If this is 6 by 12, I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch shorter. And so I will do 5 7/8 by 11 7/8. I will ink the edges of the paper. I'm using the Prima Sepia, their ink. Okay, so let me decide what paper I'm going to use and get that cut. I have my 5 7/8 by 11 7/8 paper. I already went ahead and inked the edges. Now I'm putting it up in my scoreboard, and it's not quite 12 inches, so I'm kind of centering it on my scoreboard. And I'm taking my ruler and I'm going to mark every 2 inches. So 2 inches, 4 inches, making a line for 6, a line at 8, and a line at 10. Now that's going to be where you put your dividers. So we want to make sure that they're evenly spaced. So then you need to take your paper and turn it so that the 5 7/8 inches is at the top. And so half of 6 is 3. So I moved my ruler down just a hair to the left of 3, and I marked the halfway mark. Okay. So now I have these little markings on my paper, and I have a good eraser that will take all that off and it won't leave any marks. This is what I've been using and it comes off perfectly. So the reason for doing that is because you're going to take your 5 3/4 inch piece. I'm trying to decide which, it's this way. You're going to place it on the line you just drew. Okay. And you're going to place a bead or a flat back pearl or something, one in front and one behind, so that when you put this divider in, it's not going to be moving around. So I have these, I got them at Hobby Lobby, these Christmas flat back iridescent thingies. And there's a whole bunch of different sizes in there. So I wanted 10 of them. You're going to need 10, something that's flat back. And so what I did was I bought this new mat from Country Craft Creations, and it's like a non-slip work mat. And so I poured these beads, these flat back iridescent thingies on the mat. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't roll off. They just stayed. So I have 10 over here and they're not going anywhere. I'm moving them and they're not moving. So this mat was really good and helpful for putting a bunch of beads on without having them fall off. So I picked 10 that are all the same size. Let me bring it up closer so you can see what I'm using. Okay, just an iridescent flat back. I don't know, it's not a pearl, so I don't know what to call it. And now we're going to adhere those to the paper before we even, let's go ahead and put it on the base first, okay? Because that'll make it easier to adhere the flat backs on there. So let's go ahead and put our adhesive on and glue it to the base of our box. Going around the edge. I like to get it close to the edge so it sticks down, doesn't come up. But when you press down, the glue will spread a little bit, so you can't put it all the way to the edge. And sometimes I probably overuse the glue. I mean, this stuff's pretty strong. Okay, so I'm going to put this in my box and I'm going to center it as neatly as I can. The sides all go up fine. Okay, and I'll go ahead and get my burnishing tool that I use. I use this a lot. It's Teflon, and I find that it's very helpful. Does the job real well. I did buy some of the plastic putty knives, but I haven't used them much because I'm so addicted to this one right now. I'll give it a try though. All right. Let me just make sure I got it going this way. Make sure those corners are down. All right, so this one's going to require probably a little bit of patience. So I'm going to hold one of the boards on the line I drew, and I'm going to, I can't see. I'm going to hold the chipboard on that horizontal line, and on the vertical line that was the halfway mark, that's where I'm going to glue my flat back. Now you can't see that. Okay, no, you can't see it. Hold on. So see, I put the chipboard on the line. No, you can't see. There you go. And then I'm going to just glue that down right in one in front of it and one behind it on this line that I drew for the halfway mark. Okay, I'm really hoping that makes sense. Okay, so let me get some glue on the back of my flat back thingy. And I'm going to hold this up and on the halfway line in front of the chipboard is where I'm going to place it. Okay. So there's where mine is. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn it the other direction so I can see. I'm going to place it back on this line that's going horizontally. I'm going to place another one of these flat backs behind the chipboard now on the halfway line. And before I put the glue on the flat back, now I'm going to put it on the paper. It's going to be easier for me to work with it. Okay. And now I'm just going to give that a chance to dry. So here's what mine looks like. So you can see there's a space that's going to be just the right amount of room for our chipboard, and it's not going to be moving around. Okay, looks pretty straight. This one's not dry yet. Get rid of that excess glue around the edge. I don't think you'll be able to see it once the box is put together, but okay, so let's go ahead and do the next one. I'm going to move this to the next horizontal line. I'm going to place some glue right in front of it on the halfway line that I made, which is a little less than 3 inches. Okay. And I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to put the chipboard there again, back on that horizontal line. Place some glue on the vertical line that was our halfway mark. And I'm going to place the other flat back on the other side. Okay, now this glue, this glue will dry clear. I just need to give it some time to dry. So this is what I have so far. Next one, place your chipboard down on that line you drew, so you know how much space in front and behind on the halfway mark. Add your flat back. Turn it around the other direction. Put some glue there. And want them to be lined up. 3 sets. 2 more to go. Back on the line. glue down on the halfway mark. Attach your flat back, whatever you're using. Okay, turn it around, do the other side. And I want to make sure that they're even. Okay, like I said, the glue will dry clear. There's our fourth set, and we have one last one. And then I'm going to let it sit to dry. And last one. Okay, so we have our 5 sets. So like I said, it needs to dry. Even though it's fast drying, we still want to give it some time. And I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to just do the outside edges for right now until it's all the way dry, and just kind of get rid of that excess pencil mark. I'll come back and do the other marks when the glue is set. I drew my lines way too long, but it helped me to line up my chipboard. And you know, really, you're not going to see the bottom of the box hardly at all anyway, because it's 6 inches tall and you're going to have stuff inside and you're not really going to notice. But you still want everything lined up and as neat as you can be. Okay, so let's let that dry and I will be right back. I'm going to attach the sides next. So I'm going to put some glue on the other half of that construction strip. And I'm going to do the 12-inch side first. Okay, now we put construction strips on the inside and the outside, so it's going to be really strong. And I'm just going to kind of push that down and attach and make sure it's lined up at the edge and bring it up. I'm pinching it, and I'm going to turn it so I can push down. So this will be covered, this color that doesn't match. Okay, and now I'm going to attach the other 12-inch side, like so. So again, I'm going to put some the glue on the strip. And as you add more of the end chipboard pieces, it's going to be a lot more durable too. So right now they feel a little floppy, but when you have all 4 sides up, it works. Okay. Flip it on its side and push down. Okay, so we have our two 12-inch size. So this is going to be a nice sized container. This isn't for your tiny little stuff. This is for a little bit larger items to keep everything nice and neat. Okay, so you can see it kind of flops. That's totally fine. Now we're going to take one of our 6x6s, and that's what's going to be here at this end. Okay, and eventually we'll put strips on the corners. So let's go ahead and put the two end pieces on. Okay. And I'm going to flip it on its side here and push down. I know it's hard for you to see when I've got it like that, but that's the only way I can make sure I've got it adhered real well. Okay. And now the other end. And then we'll have our four sides attached, and then we're just going to keep adding construction strips to make it more durable and stay nice and firm so it's not floppy. Make sure it's lined up. And I'm going to push down real good. All right, so we have all of our sides attached to the inside. Now we're going to start putting our construction strips on the insides to keep them together. Okay, so we're going to keep doing what we've been doing with the construction strips. I'm going to put these sides together, and they line up really nice. And I'm going to measure, like kind of cheating. Instead of actually measuring, I'm just going to, I think I'll just put a little pencil mark at the top so I know where to cut my construction strip. Okay, let me make sure I cut that right. I did. And now you miter corners again. Not all the way to the corner, that's a no-no. You got to leave a little bit of a squared off corner, not a sharp corner. Now I am going to put adhesive on both sides of the construction strip now, because it's going to be attaching two pieces at once. Okay, I'm going to bring up my two sides and push my pieces together. Make sure they're meeting nice and flush. Now I'm going to turn this so I can push down and make sure it's adhered. And on this way too. Now, if you don't get the two sides together perfect and you see, like if there's some space in the corner, you're going to put another construction strip on the outside of that. So no worries, it's going to cover it up. Okay. So let's do the other corner. So I'm going to bring it up and look at what I have. I need to cut my construction strip just a hair. Let me try that. Yep, that's going to work. Miter corners. Little triangles flying all over the place. Glue on both sides. Heat kicked on, it's cold outside. Okay, bring up the two pieces, line them up as neatly and as flush as you can, Stick that construction strip in between the two. I'm going to turn it on its side so I can push down. And over here. Now, if you wanted to, you could use the bottom of a shoebox too and have the box already made. Now, and then just put your construction strips around the edges so it has a nice clean edge and add paper. That's totally doable too. But then you can't say you made the whole thing. You have to give credit to the shoe company. No, I don't care. If you can cut corners and make it easy and work for you, go for it. All right, other two corners. So the construction strip ends up being just a little bit shorter than 6 inches on those corners. And like I said, I'm just going to eyeball. Oh, that one's too short. Use this one instead. And miter corners. And glue. So now that the camera's in a different spot, I have to keep checking. I'm probably out of frame sometimes and I'm not used to that. So I apologize if I'm not staying in like I should. Okay, bring up the two pieces on the corner, place your construction strip to keep the two together, get them as close to the put it on its side. Pushing them down to make sure that they're stuck together real well. So you get to look at a box for a second. So I have 3 done and I just have one more inside corner to do. And this little piece that I have left, I think it's too, yep, it's too short. If it was too short on the other side, it's going to be too short on this side. Taking my pencil, just making a mark where I need to cut. Yep. And I'm going to miter the corners again so that I have that squared off end. And glue. And the other side too. Okay, the corners are already together. I just need to make sure. Oh, this is too short. That's totally too short. I did the wrong one. Throwing that one away. I grabbed the wrong end. Dumb. Oh well, at least I didn't already glue it in there, I guess. Is this the right size one? No, this one's too tall too. What the heck? Sorry if my head's in the way. So maybe you do want to measure. Maybe I didn't have it all the way down on the bottom. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's hope this puppy works. Let me put it in there. Yes. All right. Gee, mini Christmas. All right. And glue on both sides. Okay. Made that harder than it needed to be. turn it on its side again. And this side, and just make sure that you're pushing those strips down real good to the chipboard. All right, so I don't know if you can see the inside very well, but there's your inside done. Now, you do want to go ahead and put construction strips on the top too, and the sides. So I'm going to do the sides first, and then I'll do the tops, okay? You're also going to want to do the bottom. So when I said to cut 10 to 12 construction strips, you might need more or less, I don't know. I've still got a couple left. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 left. So now let's do the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my strips, and then I'll come back and glue them on and keep moving along. Okay, the outside construction strips I put on 3 corners already, so I have 1 left. Now, before we were gluing the outside of the construction strip, now we're putting the glue on the inside of the construction strip to place on the corner where the 2 pieces of chipboard meet. So glue on the inside, both sides of the flap. Okay. And you want to push it up against the corner as tight as you can and make sure it's lined up top and bottom. So that will cover if you have a little bit of a space when you put your chipboard together. Make sure you've got it adhered real well. Now this one I think sticks up just a hair, so I am going to trim the very top so that it's not higher than my chipboard. Now it will be covered with another construction strip anyway, but I want it to be as nice and neat as I can make it. Okay, now I'm going to do the 2 side pieces at the top, so we'll put 1 on each end. So you measure and trim the corners again, not at a perfect corner, but have that squared off edge. And I'm putting my glue on the inside on both sides of the strip, and I want to push it down as firmly as I can on this end. I don't want it to stick up, so turn it this way and press down. Make sure it's sticking real good. Make sure it's, let's see, here we go. Now again, you might have a corner, you're like, oh, I can see a little chipboard. We're still going to put another strip on the top on the other side. It'll take care of it. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other top end. I think you're probably getting the swing of it by now, or the hang of it. So I don't need to show you how to do every corner, I don't think. Once you have the main idea, you can pretty much follow through and keep doing it. I want it to press all the way down. Okay. Now we'll do our 2 long pieces. So again, go ahead and measure and snip the corners so that you have a squared off edge, and those should fit right on top. Let's see here. Okay. Now I'm going to be able to see a hair of chipboard, so I will totally be covering that with something on the corner. I'll probably have, I don't know, maybe my paper. Can you see how there's going to be just a tiny gap? And I won't be able to live with that, so I'll have to come up with a way to cover it. I don't know how, but I will. And I'm putting this glue on the inside also of the strip. Okay, I think I got enough glue in there. And I'm going to press down all the way. Turn it on its side. And I'm burnishing it as well as I can to get it to adhere. Make sure the corners are down. I need to put a little glue on this corner. This side we're doing the same thing. Okay. Now I used to paint the chipboard, and I would, you know, just the ends, but using the construction strips at the top make it look much neater instead of using paint, I think. And I'm just getting some glue on this. And then I'll lay it on the top. Ouch, my hand hurts. Need to clean the nozzle on my glue. Put it down and make sure it's sticking. Using my burnishing tool. And then we will be putting decorative paper from end to end, so most of the construction strip gets covered anyway. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish my my strips. Turn your box upside down. You still have to do the bottom also. Okay, you are going to want to put construction strips on your dividers, but on the top only. You don't need them on the sides or the bottom. So you want your board at the 5 3/4, you put a construction strip along the top on the 5 3/4 side, not the 6-inch side. Okay, so you'll do that for all 5 of your dividers also. So let's go ahead and finish our construction strips, and then let's start putting on our decorative paper. To cut your decorative paper for the box, the outside is going to be pretty much the same as the dimension of the chipboard, because you've added a little bit of width and height with the construction strips, but the inside they're going to be cut a little bit shorter because of the room that's been taken away from the strips. So what I did was, for the ends on the outside, you need 2 that are 6 by 6. Okay, 2 at 6 by 6, and you'll see that it, I hope you can see, it's going to be perfect. Okay, you'll just get a tiny edge around the outside of your decorative paper. The sides are you're going to need 2 at 6 by 12. Go ahead and ink around the edges. So there's the outside. The other outside piece you need will be the bottom, and this is also 6 by 12, and ink around the edges. So you need a total of 3 6 by 12s and 2 6 by 6s, just like we did on the chipboard. On the inside, you have to go a little bit smaller. So I ended up cutting my end pieces for the inside at 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. You need 2 of those. And the long sides I did, it was, let's see, about, ended up being about, I don't remember, hold on, 11, it ended up being about 13/16. I know that's a hard measurement. So you can just, you can take off an eighth and see if that works. So try 11 and 7/8. But when I did 11 and 7/8, it was still a little bit too long. So I had to take a little bit off. So just kind of play it by ear. And same way with the top. I ended up doing 5 and 7/8 instead of 6 because it didn't work as nice and neat, and I inked the edge. So I can't really give you an exact measurement, but I think mine was close to 5 and 7/8 by about 11 and, oh, I don't want to tell you the wrong stuff, 3/4, in between 3/4 and 7/8. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is glue everything down, and then I'm going to show you how to do the holes to attach your dividers. I'll probably go ahead and do my dividers too. So remember, we put the construction strip on the 5 3/4 edge. So these are going to go in like so. And we're going to have 2 holes here on the box and 2 holes here, 1 on each side of the divider. And we're going to run some seam binding through the holes, and you'll see the bows on the outside. So we'll do the holes after we do all of the covering of the chipboard. So go ahead and cover your dividers too. Now, it's okay that you're going to see the chipboard on the side because they're going to be up against the box on the inside. You're not going to be able to tell. So I am using the 6x6 pad of the stitches, and I'm going to cut off this edge obviously, but I'm going to go ahead and do 5 3/4 by 6 on the paper, and that should go end to end. Okay, 5 3/4 by 6. And you'll need 10 of those because you've got 5 dividers. And I think I'll just probably ink the top. Well, I'll do the top and the sides because you won't really see the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on decorating or gluing the paper down, and then I'll show you how to put the holes in to keep your dividers in the inside of your box. Now that I have everything matted, I'm going to go ahead and put the holes into the dividers. I took my mat back out that's new from the store and put my eyelets out, and they're not moving at all, so it's kind of nice. I have a lid, it's round, it's not rolling off the mat, it's like a magic mat. Okay, anyway, I have my crocodile, and I have put the, I'm using the larger side, which is what, 3/16, and I adjusted the length that I wanted, and I'm going in on each side 3/8 of an inch. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this to the sides of the box. So let me show you how to do that. I put these in the order that I wanted them now that I've covered them with paper. So this is the order. I know this is the front and this is the back, and so it's going to make a difference because you want to make sure you put this on the side that is nice, that's facing the front. Okay, so let's do this next one. All I do is, this is the top, and I'm going to measure in 3/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to use a pencil mark and place a pencil mark here, and then I want 3/8 of an inch on this side. So I'll make a pencil mark, and then I'm going to use the larger hole, like I said, and I got to find my mark, and that goes, the crocodile goes right through. And now the thing about the crocodile though is you got to keep, oh jeez Louise, you got to keep poking that piece out. Can't get that piece out. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do the other side. Line it up with my mark, punch, Get the little stubby thing out. Oh, it went flying. And now to set the eyelets, I'm going to place one in the hole. There's hardly any hangover on the other side, so I kind of like it that way, so you don't have a big, when you press them out, you don't have a ton of that gold hanging out the sides, if that makes sense. Okay, so when you use the crocodile and you're setting the eyelet, the part that has the tooth hanging down is the part that goes down into the top, and then you squeeze till you can feel it spread the back out, and then you're done with that one. And I'll do another one for you. And I guess the eyelets are optional. You could just put a hole in it and call it good. Okay, pushed another eyelet through. With the crocodile, the piece that hangs down goes through the top. Squeeze. And there you go. So I'm going to do that to all 5 of them. So I'll do one more with on camera. So I'm going to mark 3/8 of an inch. That's the measurement I thought looked the best, and that I think will work the best because we have to attach it to the side of the box. So again, that's 3/8 and a 3/8. Okay, gotta make that a little bit bigger. I'm gonna go ahead and punch the hole first. And I like to be able to see through it. That's why I get rid of that from the hole. And place my eyelet. Squeeze. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to, I think I'm going to put glue on the very bottom and stick it between the 2 flat backs that we have, and that will kind of help keep it in place a little bit. And then I'm going to be punching 2 holes on either side of the chipboard so that I can string my seam binding through and tie it. Okay, so let me finish up the dividers and then I'll do the holes on the side of the box. I'm going to start putting the dividers in. I'm going to put a thin line of the art glitter glue along the bottom of the chipboard. That's not an easy thing to do. Okay, and I'm going to put it in between the 2 flat back. I'm going to try and center it. I'm just going to hold it for a second. Get it to adhere a little bit. And this, I think, is going to be the easiest way to determine where to put the holes on the side of your box. So I left the crocodile at the same distance. I haven't moved it on the 3/16 side. I have not moved this, so it's going to be the same with the same amount down. Okay. So I'm going to turn this. I say that. Okay, so I'm going to hold this like so, and then I'm just going to place my crocodile on either side. Like, I'm going to have to put it on the other way. Make sure your chipboard is standing up straight. Oh, I'm trying to get in the camera better. Okay, so I have my 2 holes here. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach or put in 2 eyelets. So here's one. And now I need to see if I got it. Yep. And now this one. Oh, gotta put an eyelet in first. Squeeze. Okay. And I'm going to turn it around and do the other side. So I'm going to clean out clean this out first. Okay. Oh, keep doing that. Okay, I've got my 2 holes now on this side. I'm going to place an eyelet. Squeeze. Yep, that did the trick. And now the other one. And squeeze. All right, so we are ready to add our seam binding to keep it upright. So let me decide what color I'm going to use. I have seam binding and I have that crinkle. I wonder if I have enough of the crinkle ribbon because I really like that. I have pink and cream. So if I go pink, cream, how much do I have here? I can always order more too. Maybe I would just want a variety. Maybe I'll do pink. Maybe I'll add the seam binding too, just for a little bit of, and go cream, pink, blue. Cream, pink. Maybe I'll do that. Let's try it. Okay. So, to do this, I'm going to take the cream and I'm going to put it through the hole that's on the outside of the box. It's going to then go through the hole that's in the divider. I might need a tool to poke it through. I can't see very well. I'm going to have to stand up. Come on, get through that hole. All right, hold on. Let me make it angled at the end. There we go. And then it's going to come out the other hole that's in front. Okay, and we want to straighten our ribbon if possible. And then we're going to tie a bow. So I'm going to cut this because I just think it'll be easier. All right, so I have the 2 pieces. try and make the best bow that I can. And I might have to adjust that so that I'm happy with how it looks. I think I want smaller loops. Okay, so there's the first bow, and I'm going to trim these to about there. Okay, I'm not the world's best bow maker, so I might have to work with that a little bit. So now let's do the other side, and then you'll know how to attach the dividers. So you go in from the outside of the box, grab it, go through the hole in the divider, that one worked a lot slicker, and then come out the hole, coming back out of the box. Okay, I'm going to trim my ribbon. I'm going to tie it in a bow. Up. I have glue on my hands. How hard is it to tie a bow, for crying out loud? Obviously pretty challenging. I can't get it. But I am not giving up. I will get this. Oh, for crying out loud. I almost forgot to decorate the fronts of my dividers. So I went ahead and did this one that's already inside. I don't know if you can... no, you can't see. Anyway, let me show you. I have the doily, this doily die. And so I put one on each of the pages with one of the cutouts. It has to be flat if you're going to be storing stuff in here, so I didn't want any flowers or anything like that. So I'll put one more in just to show you one more time how to insert the dividers. It's a little tedious. The first thing we're going to do, remember, is put the glue on the bottom. Let me get my Crop-A-Dile ready. Okay, so here we go. I already have my holes, remember. So I'm just going to put a line of glue on this bottom. I'm going to try and keep a steady hand. Okay. And let's put it in the box in between the two. Okay, I'm just going to push it down for a little bit and wait for it to dry just a hair. And I'm going to take my Crop-A-Dile and I'm going to cut or punch a hole on each side. Let me get this out of the way. And now I'm going to do the other side. Sorry, my, yeah, right here. Okay. And now it's time to put the eyelets in. I'm going to put two in it, both of them in right now. Okay, so I have both eyelets on the box, and now I just need to squeeze them together. Let's see if they're flattened in the back. Yep. And on the other side, put 2 eyelets in. And I'm going to squeeze them closed. Let me make sure that they're, yep. All right, and then now I'm going to put my lace, ribbon, whatever I'm going to put in there. I think I'll go with the blue seam binding next. And I'm just going to eyeball the length and cut it. All right, turning it sideways. I'm going to angle the end just so it's easier to get in the hole. Okay, so I angled it just to make it easier to get in there. I start from the outside and go through the hole to the inside. Oops. And then I'm going to put it through the hole in the divider. And then come out the hole back to the outside. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and tie that. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time tying today. Okay, and I can go back and trim those. And I'll do the other side, and then I'll finish the rest off camera so that you can continue to put yours in. Okay, go in. Through the hole in the divider. Out the front, or back to the front. And tie. Oh. Okay, and again I'll trim that once I have them all in. So I'm going to go ahead and finish mine. You go ahead and finish yours if you're working along, and I'll come back and show you the next step, which will probably be the feet if I have the right spools. That's what I plan on for the feet, is 4 empty thread spools. Alright, I'm holding the camera trying to get a good view of this box, so let me show you the inside now that all the dividers are in. Okay, now I just need to put the feet on and decorate the front. To finalize my box, I'm going to start doing some decorating, and so I have 4 spools that I had in my stash, and I put some baker's twine around it and glued it on, and then I used some of my distress ink to go over it because it was too white and I wanted it to look more aged. So these are going to be the feet, and I'm just going to use a hot glue gun to glue those on. I also went to my stash and found a bunch of different doilies that I'm going to be gluing together to add for decoration in the upper corner. And I have a wood tag that I put some of the stickers on, and that will go underneath like so. I have a pair of scissor charms that will go right here in the middle. And I have a spool that I put some pink on instead of the cream color, so that will be my decorations, and I'll have some flowers in the corner. So what I plan to do is my box is sideways so that you can, it's on its back so you can see it. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the bottom where I'm gluing the feet on. And let's see, I don't know if you can see that yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue on the spool right here on the top to attach to the bottom corner. I'm just going to hold it for a little bit. I'll do the same thing with the second one. It'll be in the upper corner. Okay. Now I'm going to put the 2 feet on the bottom back, so I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not because it's down in this area and that's not on camera. And I had to make sure that all the spools were exactly the same so that my box wouldn't be lopsided or, you know, jiggling around. Okay, and my last one to apply. And I'm just kind of holding it until the glue dries. You could use wood. They have round sphere-shaped balls, you know, wooden ones at Hobby Lobby or something, and you could use those too if you don't have the spools. All right, so I think those are pretty much attached. Now I'm going to put my flower up here. First I have to make it, so I'm just going to start adding a bunch of glue to my doilies and keep piling them up progressively smaller. So I think I will do this actually, I think I'll decide, I think I want the tag down first. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of my tag. And about right there. And I kind of like it that it goes off to the, it hangs off the side of the box, and I kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to start layering my doilies. Now the next one. Got glue stringies hanging on me. I hate that. Now this just happens to be a paper flower that I had in my stash, and it had some color in it, so I went ahead and added that. I think that'll match well. And then for color again, I had a pink one. And which side is the right side? This one? Yep. Don't want to burn my fingers. And then a cream colored one. Sure they're staying on pretty good. I think I need some glue here. Couple more layers. And the final one. Now I need to attach my charm, the scissor charm. And then the final spool. Now I need to adhere the flowers in the corner. All right, here's the finished box. It's hard to get the whole thing in with my camera, so I'm holding my camera right now. So I'll do a quick tour. I'll look around, but I'll also include some still pictures. So hope this project is easy for you. It's pretty handy. You can store envelopes in here, your cards that you make. You can even store your supplies in here. It's a pretty good size box. So remember, it's 6 by 12 by 6. So let's take a look real quick. All right, well, thanks for joining me. I hope that this is a project that you find useful and that you can alter to your needs. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Most of the materials you saw me use were from Country Craft Creations, and keep crafting.